Right now, somewhere in the world, an AI is writing a job application. In a few seconds, that application will land in an ATS, an applicant tracking system, where another AI will read it, score it, and rank it. If it scores it well, the candidate will get invited to a video interview. Of course, also conducted by an AI. And on the other side of that call, there's a decent chance the candidate is reading their answers off of an AI overlay. Or worse, isn't even a real person at all. So far, no human has touched this process on either side. This is not a prediction. This is hiring in 2026. LinkedIn is processing roughly 11,000 job applications per minute. In fact, Gartner predicts that by 2028, 1 in 4 candidate profiles worldwide will be fake. Now, I've spent 20 years in hiring. I've run over 12,000 interviews. And in my interview clinics this year alone, we caught a bot that made it through screening. Now, I'm actually going to tell you exactly how we caught it because the test takes, well, all of 2 seconds and you can use it tomorrow. But first, you need to understand the loop that we've built because your company is probably inside this loop right now, and it's not helping you build a better business. Okay, so let's start with the numbers because they are genuinely staggering. As I mentioned earlier, 11,000 applications per minute on LinkedIn. That's up 45% in a single year. Now, that growth did not come from 11,000 people all of a sudden on the same minute deciding to polish their CVs and apply to jobs. It came from AI tools applying on people's behalf. Auto apply agents, 1 click, 50 applications. Some tools promise hundreds, even thousands of applications per week. Now, Workday's own data tells the same story. In the first half of 2024, their systems processed 173 million applications. That's up 31% year on year. But job openings? Well, up only 7%. Applications are growing 4 times faster than job openings. Now, put yourself in the recruiter's seat. 300 plus applications per role is now normal. Roughly 3 times what teams handled in 2021. No human can read that pile. So what do companies do? They buy AI to read it. You see, around 87% of companies now use AI somewhere in their hiring process. Nearly half of all hiring managers use AI to screen CVs before a human ever sees them. And here's where it gets absurd, honestly. Around 40% of candidates admit to using AI in their applications. 74% of hiring managers say they've actually encountered AI-generated content in applications. So the CV was written by a machine. It's also being read by a machine on the other side. And the machine reading it was trained to look for exactly the kind of language the machine writing it was trained to produce. Crazy. Now, the CEO of Greenhouse, one of the biggest ATS platforms in the world, has a name for this. He calls it the AI doom loop. Quite apt, to be honest. In his words, trust is at an all-time low for both job seekers and recruiters. It's the first time he can remember both sides being unhappy at the same time. Employers say, we're drowning, we can't tell who's real. Candidates say, it's never been easy to apply and never been harder to actually get an interview or a job. Everyone is losing in this battle, and this is the polite version of the problem, to be honest. Because so far, we've been talking about real people using AI to apply. Now, let's talk about the people who are not real. Gartner surveyed 3,000 candidates last year. 6% admitted to interview fraud, not exaggerating on a CV, but straight up fraud, either pretending to be someone else in an interview or actually having someone else sit the interview for them. 6%. That's 6% of people who admitted it in the survey. The real numbers are higher. And based on that trajectory, Gartner is actually predicting that by 2028, 1 in 4 candidate profiles worldwide will be fake or synthetic. And here's what makes that possible. You see, a fully working deepfake candidate, face swap, cloned voice, fabricated CV, can be built in about an hour with consumer-grade tools. You need a photo and a few seconds of audio. And you might be thinking, I'd spot it. I definitely know the difference. You wouldn't. You see, a meta-analysis of 56 studies found humans detected deepfakes with about a 55% accuracy. That is a coin flip. Your gut feel, the thing most interviewers trust more than anything else, performs at chance level against this technology. And if you think this is a fringe problem, let me give you the numbers that should honestly worry every leader watching this. The FBI has documented over 300 US companies that unknowingly hired North Korean operatives. Real jobs, real salaries, stolen identities, AI-generated personas, deep-faked interviews. The US Justice Department ran coordinated raids on laptop farms across 16 states. Amazon alone admits to having blocked more than 1,800 suspected fake applicants from a single scheme alone. These are not startups getting fooled. These are companies with security teams, background checks, and multi-stage interview processes. The fake candidates passed all of it. So this is the situation. AI is flooding your funnel with applications. Some of those applications are real people using AI. Some are not people at all. And your AI screening tool cannot reliably tell the difference because it was built to read documents, not to verify humans. Which brings me to the bot we caught. You see, this year I've been running a number of mock interview clinics with hiring managers and recruitment teams across companies in Europe. Real interview practice, session after session. And in one of those organizations, a bot made it through CV screening. They passed every filter, got the interview invite, showed up on the video call looking like a perfectly normal candidate. You honestly couldn't tell. But here's how it got caught. The interviewer asked the candidate to raise their hand and pass it slowly in front of their face. That's it. That's the whole test. You see, because a real face on a real camera has no problem with this. But most real-time deepfake filters break when something crosses the face. The software is tracking facial landmarks, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and rebuilding the target face on top of them, frame by frame. But if you put a hand through that, the illusion, well, it tears apart. The face glitches, warps, or smears around the fingers. 2 seconds, no software, no vendor, just a polite request. Now, is this test going to work forever? No, the technology is improving every day, and detection tools are already struggling to keep up. But that's exactly the point I want you to take from this story. You cannot win this as a technology arms race. Their AI agents get better. Your detection gets better. Their AI agents get better again. Companies like Cisco and Google have already reached the same conclusion, and they've responded in the most old-fashioned way possible. They're bringing back in-person interviews. I know, shocking. You see, the answer to this problem isn't more AI. The answer is to stop relying on signals that machines can fake. And showing up to an interview in person is one of those things that an AI cannot fake. And here's the part that almost nobody covering this topic says out loud. AI didn't break hiring. AI exposed that hiring was already broken. Think about what a CV actually is. It's a self-reported document written to impress with no verification. We built entire hiring processes on top of it anyway. Keyword filters, screening calls, gut feel interviews. It sort of worked because faking it at scale was expensive. It took a human real time to write a tailored application. AI, however, removed that cost. That's all it did, actually. It took a weak signal and made it worthless. Same with interviews. Most interviews were never measuring competence. They were measuring confidence, gut feel, fluency, how polished someone sounds answering questions that they've rehearsed. And well, guess what AI is spectacular at producing? Polished, fluent, confident answers, streamed to a candidate screen near you in real time. If your interview can be beaten by a teleprompter, it was never a good interview in the first place. The teleprompter just arrived though, and employers own half of this loop too. Automated rejections with no feedback, ghost jobs posted with no intention to hire. Candidates learned that companies were treating them like data points, so they responded rashly and in kind. Spray and pray, and let a bot do the spray. Both sides expected AI to solve a problem neither side had defined. What is the role actually there for? What does success look like? What evidence would prove this person can deliver it? No AI tool answers those questions for you. And when you skip them, all AI does is help you make the same bad decisions faster at higher volume with less signal than ever. So what do you actually do about all this? Well, there's three things. And notice that none of them require you to buy anything. One, get clear before you go to market. I know, sounds obvious, but volume is not your problem anymore. Clarity is. 1,000 applications won't help you if you can't define what great looks like. So before the role goes live, define the mission of the role, the outcomes that this person must deliver in the first year, and the competencies that predict their ability to deliver those outcomes in your context. Write it down. Agree with everyone involved in the decision. This does two jobs at once. It gives your screening, human or AI, something real to filter against instead of, well, a keyword soup. And it gives every interviewer the same bar. The same bar which matters enormously when candidates are arriving polished by machines. 2. Interview for evidence, not fluency. Here's what AI can fake: knowledge, confidence, prepared answers, and increasingly, faces. Here's what it cannot fake: the texture of lived experience under pressure. So anchor every question in the candidate's actual past experience. One real example explored properly. It beats 5 rehearsed examples. When they give you a story, validate it before you build on it. What was the situation exactly? What did you do? Not your team, you. What was it that was at risk? What would the person who worked next to you say about your part in all of this? You see, an overlay can feed someone an opening answer. It cannot feed them 4 layers of specific, unpredictable follow-up about a project only they lived through. Real experience gets more detailed under questioning. Fabricated experience gets vague. That contrast is your lie detector, and no software update makes it obsolete. And 3, put humans back where verification matters. For final rounds, especially for roles with access to money, data, or systems, meet in person. Or run live working sessions, whiteboards, design discussions, collaborative problem solving, where you're actually watching someone think in real time, in the flesh, not recite something that they're reading off a screen. Knowledge is commoditized now. Code is commoditized. What you're actually hiring for is how someone thinks, how they ask questions, and how they make decisions under ambiguity. Design your interviews around those things, and the AI problem, well, that mostly answers itself. And here's the actual twist in all this that makes this a competitive advantage rather than a cost. Gartner found that 62% of candidates say they're more likely to apply to a company that requires in-person interviews. Listen to that again. In a market where only a quarter of candidates trust AI to evaluate them fairly, the human process isn't friction anymore. It's the trust signal. The best candidates are actively looking for employers who will treat them like people, like human beings. Being human just became a differentiator. So, what happens when AI actually applies to your AI hiring tool? Nothing. And that's actually the problem. It's two machines that exchanged optimized text. A score gets produced and no actual information about whether this person can do this job changes hands. The loop spins, everyone gets busier, and trust keeps falling. You don't fix that with a better bot. You fix it with clarity about what you're actually hiring for. You fix it with interviews built on evidence instead of polish, and human judgment at the moments that actually decide things. The companies that get this right won't just avoid hiring a deep fake. They'll be the ones the best real candidates choose precisely because everyone else disappeared behind the machines. If you want to build that kind of process, start with the role itself. I've put my framework for defining any role, the mission, the outcomes, and the competencies in the link below. It's the foundation. Everything else in this video stands on. And if you want to know which interview questions actually produce evidence instead of performance, I've got a full video on exactly that linked here. See you there.